Hello everybody and all you wonderful people, I hope you're having a good day. Today I'm going to be talking about the treasure spawn, so get your pirate hats and enjoy the show. Alrighty, to begin with, if you don't know how a treasure spawn works, you gotta spawn right here. You'll get 50 to 200 medals, you'll spawn, you'll have a chance to get an SSR, and it's not a very good one. And then at the very end you will get one of these chests. You will get two for the first. After the first one, you will get two, and then after each and every jackpot, you will be able to choose two chests instead. But other than that, you will be able to choose one. And whenever you choose a chest, you will get one of these things right here. All you gotta do is press details right here, and it will tell you what you could get from the chest. Alrighty, with that being said, let's actually cover the spawn. Well, expert level, cover the spawn. This monster right here, the new monster that just came out, is built. I'm talking built for the new crystal update. Not crystal update, but crystal event that just came out. The crystal assault or whatever. I don't even know what it's called. Because when you're doing that event, there's three things you want to go for. Cooldown, reducibility time, cost recovery, and a heavy hitter monster. And this is 2 out of the 3 of them, so this is highly recommended to get. She can attack up to 20 times with an ability power of 130 each. Up to 20 times with an ability power of 130 each. She is going to do a lot. I'm telling you, she is literally built for the new crystal event that just came out. Other than that, she is mainly going to be useful for player versus player, or 1v1s. 1v1s she is going to be very useful in too, but mainly player versus player, not player versus player. I meant player versus enemy. Besides 1v1s. 1v1s she'll be useful in, but player versus enemy because the way she's built is not for like Coliseum. Definitely not for Coliseum. Not recommended for Coliseum. And she is not recommended for guild battles. I mean, you can use her in guild battles, and she'll probably kill around 2 people and give you cost recovery. She's not a bad monster for guild battles, but there are lots and lots and lots of better monsters you could be using for guild battles. Well, I'm not going to say there's a lots and lots and lots. Excuse me, but there's a good decent amount. So that's why I recommend her for player versus enemy, and she is definitely, there's no question about it, she is built for the crystal event that just came out. Because she is useful in player versus enemy. If you got that one boss who you can't really do much with, and you got that Unison, she can knock down that health pretty good, and give you cost recovery, and cast Frenzy on yourself. She casts Frenzy too, so that means all status alignments get nullified, and they get removed also, and debuffs. Debuffs will get nullified and removed as well. So she's a great comeback in player versus enemy, definitely, and she is built for the crystals. That being set aside, all this stuff right here you see is pretty much the armor is pretty much the Odin armor right here. It does the exact same thing. It has the exact same gear cost, and it has the exact same skill. And this stuff right here is pretty much the AzureWrath stuff. Has the exact same cost and skill. That stuff has already been out, so this is pretty much a copycat. This is like the second version of those weapons and gear and armor. The only difference is the gun right here. The AzureWrath set, it have a bow, they don't have a gun. So this is going to be useful for berserkers especially, so that's why I'm going to highly recommend that. And in the jackpot, in the treasure spawn, they don't have a bad amount of medals. You could get up to 600, 700, I think that's 1,300 medals plus whatever you're getting from the spawn right here, 50 to 200 per each. So you're not getting a bad amount of medals. You're actually getting a good amount, especially since just from 5 spawns, you're going to be able to get one of these featured gear pieces right here because they're all 1,900. Now this is cheap because usually the price for this type of stuff is going to be 3,000. So this is pretty cheap in general. Now, what I recommend getting is going to be differentiated upon different classes of what you use. If you're a berserker, I recommend getting this first because this is literally gonna help you so much because this is literally built for your class. Or no. I highly recommend getting this gun because this is literally built for berserker in your class. So you finally got something for your berserker that has a skill that can increase costs finally. So I recommend getting this. This is exclusive only to this. Even if you were to get the AzureWrath stuff, it would be a bow instead. The second thing is, if you don't want that, get this relic. Do not go for the staff. Staffs are not meant for berserkers. Even though the skill is meant for berserkers, staffs are not meant for berserkers. They don't give the weapon buff for when you're using a berserker class, but the relics do when you're using a berserker class, give the weapon buff. And its skill is meant for berserkers as well, so that's why I highly recommend that. Now, if you're a soldier, I highly recommend getting this AOI sword first. Has a chance to greatly increase physical damage when using the ability, and only for that attack. Activates the skill, being the defense of the target gets reduced by half. The defense of the target gets reduced by half if it greatly increases the physical damage of an ability. So once that breakthrough testament activates, the damage of the target will be reduced by half for that one skill. That is very OP, so I highly recommend getting that if you're a soldier. If you're an archer, though, I'd highly recommend getting this, because at the very end of the period, I don't see it saying has a chance with the ability to ignore 50% of defense and magic defense. I just see a period and it says defense and magic defense 50% ignore effect cannot be stacked. Oh no, it says it right here. Chance to ignore 50% of target's defense and magic defense. And physical and magic ability power is randomly increased with the following. So I highly recommend getting between this and the gun, actually, because it does the same thing. Activates the skill defense and magic defense of the target will be reduced by half. If you're a berserker, I highly recommend getting this. If you don't want that gun, the first gun I told you about, I highly recommend getting first. But if you don't want that, actually for the berserker, I recommend getting this before you actually get the relic, because this reduces their defense and magic defense by half. That's why I highly recommend getting it. And if you're an archer, you could choose between these two. I would probably actually recommend this one, because this has a stable amount of damage increase. This one does it. It could be between slightly and it could be between more and less of what the Mazookan gun can do. But for the most part, it'll probably be less. So I actually recommend the Mazookan gun if you are a archer in general, and if you're a berserker, if you don't want that first gun that I told you about. If you're a cleric, I recommend getting the Shinigu of Karnus, because it has a chance to increase the amount of HP healed, greatly increases the max HP of the heal target for 20 seconds, and casts a continuous heal on the target that heals for 5% of their maximum HP every 5 seconds for 10 seconds when using a healing ability. That is OP for archers. That is like really OP for archers. So if you can get that, the archers, I meant clerics. The whole time when I was talking about the relic, I meant clerics. So that is really OP for clerics. If you could get that, I highly recommend getting that if you are a cleric class, if you main cleric. As for lancers, weapon-wise, I recommend just sticking with the spear. Lancers pretty much have the same ability, and that's always going to be increased damage during break, chance to bonus with break, and increased physical damage. Pretty much is what archers have. Not archers, lancers. I need to start actually speaking of the actual class I'm talking about. So I highly recommend getting that if you are a lancer. And if you need to replace your attack, there will be the crystal lances right here. Not the crystal lances, the crystal weapons to replace the attacks. That way you will do more. These will help you do more DPS. So if you need to replace your attack badly over everything else, that's highly recommended. And if you don't want the weapons, you can still get the red dragon stuff. It's the highest cost with the skill. And so if you have like physical or magical damage down, they count as the same skill. All damage downs count as the same skill. It doesn't matter what. So having a chance to greatly reduce physical and magical damage taken in one skill is very good. That's why I highly recommend getting the red dragon stuff. And if you don't, in between that and this, also does the same thing. Whether it's physical or magical reflection, they all count the same reflections. Chance to reduce physical and magical damage and reflect and reduce damage back at the attacker. I highly recommend this stuff as well. It's cost 32. It's not the highest, it's not the greatest stat increase when it comes to reflection. That stuff is given to, the title is given to the Azure armor, but this is the second highest. So I highly recommend getting that if you do not want whatever I just said before, besides the red dragon stuff. Between the red dragon stuff and the Canna stuff, actually I recommend the red dragon stuff, because again, Azure actually gets the best for that. So if you don't have what you're looking for or what you want in general, then at the very end I would recommend the Canna stuff. So overall, yes, this is a very good spawn, but make sure you have 135 gems at least to be doing this spawn. I don't want to see you screwing up. Like, this is literally one of those spawns where you want to be able to get what you want in the medals. The jackpot can be good, but for the most part, you're not actually guaranteed to actually get something once you want. Like the monster spawn. Monster spawn, you weren't guaranteed to get something that you wanted, but you at least weren't going to walk out empty-handed. With this, you could walk out empty-handed. Even though you're guaranteed one of these pieces, I do not recommend this because this could screw up your DPS. So make sure you have enough, because mostly what you're looking for will be in the medals. And thank you for tuning in, thank you for watching, and I hope this helped. I know this is a long video, but that's what happens when they add too much good stuff in one spawn. This is the AzureWrath, I'm out, peace!